CEOs and their teams developing, yeah.
So the thing that works is when you teach them I don't even know that I want to call it a skill, but it kind of is a skill, to translate that information, right? I go in to training leaders with the assumption, for the most part, they know what they need to know. Sometimes there's different things that they need to know. Sometimes they need to learn some new things. But it's very rare that I've seen a leader on any level of organization fail for lack of knowledge, right? But it's about doing those things, which is what I talked about. And the key skill, if you want to call it a skill, that's needed to translate knowledge into action is what I call emotional courage. So the reason we don't do things, honestly, is that we're afraid. And nobody wants to say that they're afraid. But why do I not have a difficult conversation? Why do I not bring up something that's an undiscussable, that people aren't talking about? Why aren't I the person who brings it up? Why don't I respond to someone's anger at me in a really productive way? Why do I get triggered by their anger? Right? Why do I get caught up in that? Why do I respond to someone's politics with more politics? Why don't I just call it like it is and on the table and say, let's have a conversation? Why don't I get over my own anger? You know, and why don't I feel it fully but get over it enough to have a productive conversation? Why don't I do those things? And it has to do with courage. It has to do with, are we able to master the feelings that we have, the emotions that we have? Now, I'm not talking about emotional intelligence. Frankly, I'm not crazy about emotional intelligence, right? The way we've used it, the way we've talked about it. And it's because emotional intelligence, for the most part, is an intellectual construct. Right. You know, the way we talk about emotion in the world of emotional intelligence is about as unemotional as you could possibly get, right? We break it into categories, we label it, we talk about it, we analyze it, we script out the behaviors. Right. And that's the way the mind addresses emotions. But I actually think that's not a particularly good way of actually learning to master your emotions in these kinds of situations. And I think the emotion that we feel when we are, when we're called to show courage is very, very challenging. And nobody really wants to think of themselves as fearful or uncourageous, right? On the other hand, there's a lot of things we actually don't do for lack of courage. Right. And so I think to teach this idea of emotional courage becomes really, really important. And that, to me, is the key missing link between what I know how to do and what I actually do. And in a sense, it's the driver to how we take risk. So if the thing that makes us most successful as a leader is our willingness and ability to take risk, then emotional courage is the catalyst that allows us to take risks. It opens the door that allows us to step in and take risks. And when you have the emotional courage to take the right kinds of risks, that's what doubles the stock price or triples the stock price. That's what brings revenue from 100 million to 200 million